Hey, ho guys! We are back on mic again. Yay! This video is going to be better than it was last week. So, it's week 10 of the GBA, and we are 5-4 at -4 because this team can't seem to get differential going on whatsoever. So, we are playing, I believe, we're playing Chimpact, but I believe I think at 7-2 plus 24, I believe that's currently the best record overall since Nick was able to knock off Envy last week, which was an absolutely hilarious video, by the way. If you guys missed it, make sure to go watch that. It was great. Oh, oh man. Anyway, so going into this week, unlike versus Battler X last week, we had considerably more prep time. The problem was, looking at this matchup, it's not a great matchup. It very much reminded me of Season 2 against John, where all of my walls, he had the kind of like the perfect offensive pieces to break. It's kind of the reverse this week, where he's got Cofagrigus and Steelix, and those can kind of shut down Staraptor and Mega Gallade, which are my main two offensive pieces. So I figured, we know what, we're probably going to have to do something kind of similar that we did in that game, which is one of our big breakthrough games, and try to use some, inventive, manufacture some offense out of our normally defensively minded guys. So that's gonna be the thought going into this week. As we see what he brought, we have a Tornadus-T, Politoed, and Kingdra completing the rain triangle that he has. Thankfully, unlike Kote in Season 2, it's not like a plethora of rain stuff that can just beat you in any number of ways. We have Magneton and Steelix, and Mega Diancie gonna be here to try to avoid getting Hazard set up, because he has, I think, one defogger on that team, which is Aerodactyl, which I'm actually kind of glad to not see. But yeah, so we don't have Aerodactyl here, we don't have Scolipede here for spooky baton pass stuff. No Chesnaught, which is actually going to be pretty relevant because the team I brought is a little bit Chesnaught weak because of the coverage moves that I have. No Dragalge, which I kind of prepared. I don't know that I over-prepared for it, but it had lots of contingencies for it, so that's what we don't see. But yeah, I guess we'll look at what we got right here. So, that's right, you already see in the bottom left corner who's coming back again. Maybe gonna try to do some heroics. But anyway, we'll start at the top. So we got Greninja because it outspeeds everything barring Aerodactyl. And I decided, you know what, this is gonna be a pretty good lead because with Surf, we have Surf because instead of Scald, because we don't want to win by hacks. Come on, guys. So Surf should one-shot Mega Diancie. It's gonna outspeed, of course, anyway. So if Mega Diancie, or if he leads off with Diancie, which he has done in the past to, go ahead and get the magic bounce going on, then we can just click Surf until it leaves, and when it does leave, we can set up Spikes. If there's anything else, I'm going to be pretty okay to set up Spikes. The main reason I wanted Spikes was because of Chesnaught. Pretty much all this stuff, I needed a considerable amount of chip damage on Chesnaught, so, and with possible Leech Seed and Drain Punch, that might not even be that feasible, but it looks like Spikes will hit everything except for Torn-T, which I really would have liked Rocks as well, because with Rocks, Ice Beam should be able to one-shot Torn-T unless it's like heavily, especially defensive with AV. Which has Stab plus Ice seem to be all the coverage we needed this week, and yeah, hopefully that'll suffice. We're just max timid. Fable, we have Wish Protect this week because a lot of our walls don't have instant recovery. Actually, none of them have instant recovery. We have Wish Protect on Fable, but that's going to be about it. Protect to kind of help stall out some rain turns. Calm Max to kind of anticipate, taking on Politoed. And hopefully, Kingdra Hydro Pumps or, well, Draco Meteor wouldn't be a factor, but, then we also have Light Screen, because Torn-T also, Hurricanes and stuff like that, so we have Light Screen to hopefully try to facilitate somebody trying to set up, because we have two setup sweepers that we're going to, kind of hang back and try to win the game with them, possibly. We are Magic Guard because of Skull Burns primarily. Didn't really see a lot of major boosting threats outside of course Scolipede, which you see we have Wheezing down there for, and then just Moonblast is the only attacking move because mostly just Kingdra. It is unfortunately going to allow a lot of other things to come in, but at least we can set up a Light Stream, we can set up a Wish, and pass that off to somebody else. So that's Fable's role this week, is to try to keep the team healthy as best we can. Wish passing is traditionally kind of difficult in the GBA, so we'll see if we can get it done, but oh well. Gliscor, we are bringing an offensive Gliscor this week. I think I ended up to still have Toxic Orb. It just so happened that the speed I wanted him to hit The HP, I believe, hit 160, which was, you know, enough for 20 HP back, I believe, on Toxic Orb heal. So that just kind of happened to work out, and I was like, well, alright, you know, burn immunity if I want to try to set up on Cofagrigus, etc. That sort of good stuff. So we got Swords Dance and Rock Polish, which is, as Tom mentioned 2 weeks ago, it clearly is pronounced Polish because the P is capitalized, so get it right, guys. So we got Double Dance. I was gonna do Ground Stone Edge, but the outlier there was Chesnaught resisting them and having good defense, so I ended up switching it over to Ice Fang, which should still be able to take out most of the stuff that Stone Edge would have. I think it was mostly just, what, Torn-T? Probably. Likely. Yeah, because Scolipede's neutral, so. And Aerodactyl, I guess, too. But with the Swords Dance up, Ice Fang should be able to take care of those. Adamant Max, just enough outspeed to outspeed an Adamant Kingdra, so that way if I get the Rock Polish up, even if he sets up, you know, Auto Weather and Swift Swim, I should still be able to outspeed the Kingdra that way, and hopefully have a Swords Dance up and one-shot him. So that's kind of Gliscor this week. I was kind of considering Muscle Band as well for an item, but there weren't enough calcs to support it, so. Empoleon has been bringing Stealth Rock last couple weeks. Once again, we're kind of going with the theme of have stuff to switch into, you know, special attackers. So we got AV, Physical this week, though. Now, the main reason we're Physical is because of Dragalge. Empoleon is generally an okay switch into Dragalge, as it's gonna, you know, resist both stabs. Unfortunately, Dragalge does get Focus Blast and Thunderbolt, which hits it back pretty hard, so we're gonna have AV to try to sponge some of those. Quite a bit of attack EVs, so that we can Earthquake and dent some stuff considerably, and max HP just to take like superpowers from Torn-T a little bit better if that's what it decides to bring instead of Focus Blast. Moves are Earthquake, as aforementioned. We got Steel Wing for Mega Diancie. We have Aqua Jet for possible tandem damage. And then we have Avalanche, which is Empoleon's only physical move. And that actually caused me to have to literally the Saturday afternoon, we played Saturday night, I had to rebreed my Empoleon on Soul Silver because I forgot it was a 4th gen only move, which also means we have to run Torrent, but that's fine because one of the like potential plays is we Avalanche Torn-T, it almost kills it, and then even with some bulk investment, Torrent boosted Aqua Jet should be able to pick it off, so. That's kind of one of the thoughts we have with Empoleon, but Defiant would have been nice, but again, incompatible with Avalanche, at least for now. We'll see what 4th gen remakes might bring. Aggron is the boss god, and we have not clicked Head Smash at all this season. This needs to change. We're going to see if we can change it this week, so we have the traditional Head Smash and Earthquake, but I decided, you know what, Earthquake is going to be enough for Mega Diancie, so, and frankly, Head Smash probably would as well. So we do have Rock Polish on Aggron as well. A little bit different this week. We have an Air Balloon because there's a number of guys who are mostly just gonna have like, you know, ground and then stuff that's not good against Aggron, like Mega Diancie, for example. Stabs are resisted, can get Earth Power, but you know, can't use that if I got a balloon. So they're gonna have to pop the balloon first, and then we can pop a Rock Polish. And if we have Swift Swim out of the way, it should outspeed pretty much everything. If that Magneton is scarfed, it might actually be a speed tie. Because I think I only set it to outspeed Arrow by 1. I was like 12 off max speed. We do have Aerial Ace. Think about that, guys. Aggron, big metal dinosaur, gets Aerial Ace. That's kind of terrifying. That's there obviously for Chesnaught, who would resist the ground rock combo. And then no Life Orb though, so our power is going to be down a little bit. And then Weezing is here mostly. When I didn't see Scolipede, Weezing's stock immediately dipped. But he's still going to be here as, you know, he's a decent Steelix switch in. It's got Fire Blast, deals as much damage as possible. Toxic over Will-O-Wisp, mostly because if it gets Magic Bounce, at least Weezing doesn't get, you know, burned. So, there's that. 2 Steel types though, so it's going to make it a little bit Actually, it's going to end up being like half the team I can't Toxic anyway, but. And then we have Destiny Bond. I believe we have just enough outspeed to outspeed a min speed Politoed, so that was also one of our contingencies for Dragalge, is debond it and just try to take it down that way. So we'll see if Weezing can play some debond tricks, Clear Smog to kind of handle the stat boosty bug that didn't pop up. So that's pretty much it, and yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so as we said, we're going to lead out with Ninja and hopefully get Spikes or Herd of Diancie first turn, but it looks like it's going to be neither of those things because he leads out with Magneton, which is either going to be Eviolite or Scarf. That tends to be the only 2 items it runs, and if it's Eviolite, it's not really going to be threatened out by any of my attacks, and if it's Scarf, it's just going to outspeed me anyway. So we're going to get out of here, and Volt Switch seems likely, so I want to go into Gliscor. Being the first turn of the game, I don't think he's going to make a crazy prediction and go right in for like HP Ice, which I would assume he would have on the first turn of the game against Greninja, but he could. But I think I feel confident enough that even though Gliscor is kind of a win condition this week, I need to keep it, a good HP. I am going to go and go into it as he just hard switches into Politoed, so get a little bit of frog on frog action there, and gets the rain set up, but I also get Toxic Orb up, so at least the turn's not a total wash. Well, it's actually a considerable wash. And in fact, bad omen, before this game started, there was like a massive rainstorm that came through my town, so that was like, yeah, like bad signs. But we're gonna get out of here as we do not want to risk Gliscor whatsoever. And who do we go into? And it's probably just gonna be Fable because we are max specially defensive. And we got Protect to stall rain turns, to stall lefties gain, etc. If he burns me on Scald, that's fine. If he specs Hydro Pump, that's gonna hurt a lot, and is probably why Politoed should still be Tier 1. I personally voted for it to still be Tier 1, but oh well. So anyway, Skull comes in, and it does a decent chunk, doesn't burn, which wouldn't matter because Magic Guard, but it allows us to keep the mystery of Magic Guard or Unaware for another turn. Based on that damage, looks like it's not going to be Specs, so it could still be Scarf, could be Damp Rock, and as soon as Politoed comes in, I'm starting to write down like basically what happened every turn, so I can count turns of rain to ascertain if he's Damp Rock and just know when the rain's gonna go away. So anyway, we are gonna actually go for a Light Screen here in case he wants to stay in and force the issue and maybe try to get me down with burns or whatever. So we got a screen up at least, and Steelix is in, so I guess I figured rather than trying to set up a Wish, which would allow him to, on this turn, get rocks up for free on a Protect, which might end up happening eventually because this is going to be a safe switch into Fable every time. At least we got screens up, so potential future stuff's going to be good. He EQs, probably just in case I went into Empoleon or somebody to heavily resist the Steel attack and then threaten back with a special water move in the rain, but we go into Wheezing instead as that's going to be a fairly safe defensive switch into Steelix in general. So what do we go for here? He's probably not gonna stay in. Fire Blast is possible, but I don't really want to do that because Frog or Kingdra could come in. So I decided the Toxic instead, and if either of those two came in, then that would just be absolutely awful, as they would take literally nothing from resisted, quad resisted, and actually 8 times resisted in Kingdra's case right now. So no Fire Blast that turn. Would have been nice to, of course, get a Wisp on there, especially since Diancie wasn't yet Mega'd, but oh well. Let's see, I believe this guy is going to be outspeeding, I believe Toad is base 70? I think that's right. He should be outspeeding a no speed invested base 70, so if he's an Eviolite variant, then we might be outspeeding him. If he's Scarf, then we probably will not. So I decide I take it down to the wire there, but he ends up to hard switch as we're gonna click debond. So we are trying to do something. When I didn't see Scolipede, Weezing's stock went down considerably, but I still don't want to just throw him away for nothing. He still has a good switch into Steelix. So Toad's back in, and that probably means we're going back into Fable and kind of playing musical Pokemon right now, as I don't think any damage, I think there's been, one Scald, so there's going to be another Scald here, and that's the only damage that's been dealt. Doesn't burn again, and that did very little, of course, because we still have the Light Screen up for 1 extra turn, and here I think we're going to have to Wish Protect, so that probably is going to give him an opportunity to go into Steelix and proceed to set up Stealth Rock, as I kind of feel forced to Protect, as we are going to Wish up here. And as much as it is very, very obvious free rocks for him, at least the rain is now gone, so that means if we repeat this and I go back into Weezing, at least now I can maybe Fire Blast and it'll do something, although that also means he'll be able to switch in Politoed and reset it for another bit. But Protect on Stealth Rock, which is exactly what I expected to happen there. Wasn't like I could do much of a useful other move anyway, as Moonblast would have done very little, and Light Screen, we got a physical Steelix in here, so I kind of hate to go back into Weezing because it is, a very obvious switch. So I think there's a pretty good chance he wants to do that, and then go into someone on a double switch, so it's perfectly likely. I think also around this time I get a warning on disk space, so I kind of have to take some extra time here to move some files off to make sure that the recording doesn't get corrupted, so I think that might have been this turn, but we are going to end up going back into Wheezing, as he is indeed going to double out into Magneton, so I don't think whatever he's going to click, I don't think he can kill me from full. Rain's not up, so he's probably not clicking Thunder if he does pack it. So I just want to Fire Blast this thing and get it kind of in kill range and see what we can have going on. If he locks himself into Thunderbolt, or, if he locks himself into anything and kills Wheezing, then, potentially we can go into stuff and do stuff and things, so we'll see. But anyway, we're just going to click Fire Blast, I believe, as, yeah, we're going to see that we do not outspeed, so to me that's going to say that he's probably Scarfed, and based on that doing that amount of damage, I don't think I actually calced it, but based on it almost killing from an uninvested, unstabbed Fire Blast, I'm going to presume that is not going to be EV light or defensive at all. It's probably just going to be Scarf. So that's just going to be my guess. And I'm actually kind of okay with him killing me with Flash Cannon here, as it's going to give me a chance to go into Greninja, get some spikes set up to, he's got rocks up. I need some kind of hazard as well to, make things be relatively even, but he's actually going to go into Torn T, take a Fire Blast, not take it very well, and take a burn on top of that. So, that's actually pretty big because, A, that's chip damage, which is going to get mostly recovered off with Regenerator, of course. Looks to be about a third, but with the burn, at least, Greninja would be able to Ice Beam it, and then it would possibly die to burn, depending. So, at this point, I think I don't really want to switch anybody in, because I don't know what kind of Torn T it's going to be. It's going to be, I don't think it gets stuff to massively hit Fable with, but he actually does pack Psychic, which is obviously only for Wheezing on this team, as I have way too many freaking resists. I severely doubt he's going to be Scarfed. I don't think he's AV either, so, but if he is Scarfed, then Greninja is going to, be immune to Psychic, so that's good. And if he's not Scarfed, then he's going to get outsped, so I think there's no way he's going to stay in. He's got Regenerator. Even if it's burned and he's got some physical moves, he could very well be mixed. We didn't see Life Orb, of course. I think there's no way he's going to stay in, so this should just be a free setup of spikes. Going into his Frog is perfectly likely, which is exactly what happens. And yeah, we're just going to set up a quick layer of spikes, and it's going to be okay. It's going to affect everyone but Torn T, and nice. So here I figure, well, he's not Specs, so that, probably Rain Boosted Scald is likely going to be the best thing to hit me with, maybe an HP Electric. So I decided to stay in here and set up another layer of spikes, get a little bit greedy, and, kind of try to turn the entry hazard war in slightly in my favor, as I got quite a few guys who resist rocks, and if he's taking, is it 1/6 from 2 layers of spikes? I think it's 1/8, 1/6, 1/4. I might be wrong. I always forget exactly how much the second layer is. But he's going to Scald and actually get a crit, and that's kind of relevant because between Life Orb and Stealth Rock switch-ins, that's a couple of extra hits of Life Orb that I'm now not going to be able to do, which is going to obviously hinder Ninja's usefulness in the future. But we don't have Grass Knot, so I can't really hit this thing very hard. We haven't damaged it yet, so I can't tell if it's lefties yet. We're going to go back into Fable, as he is going to Scald, and it's only going to burn, so at least it's not burning, so no residual damage stuff going on. And what could we do here? We can go ahead and set up another Wish, and I think that's actually what I decided to do. I want to go ahead and set up a Wish this turn. If he ends up to switch, maybe I just try to pass it off to somebody else. But he ends up to Scald and gets another crit, and a burn, so thankfully the burn doesn't matter. Otherwise, we might have died right there. I forget, but anyway, because he obviously now sees we have Magic Guard, as we didn't take burn damage, so whatever, at least I don't think there's anything on this team that has sleep. But anyway, we get back to the decent life, so it's a very good thing I decided to Wish right there, otherwise we would not have been able to take another Scald. So as it is now, though, we're able to potentially take another Scald, and at this point I kind of just want some damage on this guy. So I click Moonblast, and he's got Encore. So that means that Fable is not going to be able to contend with this guy, as he's going to be outspeeding, and we gotta figure something else to do. I could just, like, stubbornly stay in here and wait for Encore to wear off, and then switch into somebody on an Encore, because he would probably just, make sure to keep Encore up. Or I could switch out here and then switch Fable back in and then just keep trying to fire off Moonblast. So that's kind of what I'm wanting to do. Rain turns are starting to get... we're about halfway done. So I'm just going to go into Wave Man here and Scald in. Hope he doesn't burn, because we're Physical and Polion. Thankfully it does not burn. I got the crit burn on the 2 turns prior, so... and a crit before that, so at least it's not burning that often. We could pack a Grass Knot for this thing, but we are not special in Polion. We are physical. So unfortunately, the best thing I have to hit it with is gonna be an EQ, and I think that is what we're just gonna end up going with. He doesn't necessarily have anything that's gonna like be able to switch in and totally shut Empoleon down. So there's at least that. But he does, however, pack Focus Blast, which does quite a bit, lowers Spadef, and that's kind of really bad. So Rain is now gone, though, so I think we're going to go back into Fable here and see what we can do about that. So based on the damage I took, I'm pretty sure he would assume, I don't think Max Spadef would be able to hit that hard, and also the EQ hitting that hard, so he probably knows I'm AV now as well. So keeping up with that knowledge of information going on, and we're going to go back into Fable, hoping because he's not going to be able to kill with Scald, obviously, so I'm expecting probably just another Focus Blast, and, you know, the Spadef drop I don't think is really relevant. I probably would have made the same player anyway. But we're going to go back into Fable, and he's actually going to Scald, which is going to do some, of course, but now it's not in the rain, so it's not quite doing as much. So here I decide to just, well, since I haven't clicked a move, I can't get Encored. So right now I kind of just want some additional damage on this guy so that maybe somebody else can finish him off, and we'll go from there. So just gonna click Moonblast, and I kind of expect he'll just continue to go in with Scald. Seems to be a decent enough play, or else go into somebody else, maybe a Steelix. Weezing's unfortunately now dead, but whatever. I guess getting a little bit of chip damage on there will be good. Also, we confirm it's not left. We also confirm that it's Damp Rock. I think I confirmed that a couple turns ago, and I forgot to mention it, but I was keeping track during the game. So instead he Focus Blasts again. I'm not really sure why, but he hits it and gets the Spadef drop again. But I get the special attack drop, so that is kind of a wash. As he's at -1 Spatak and I'm at -1 Spadef, so yeah. I'm not really sure why he went for, I guess, switch prediction, but I switched it in. I don't know. Maybe we went to 4th gen mode for a moment there, and Clefable was normal type, but it actually wasn't, so. Anyway, we're just going to Moonblast, see how much this does, and it does about as much as I could have hoped for, so it's going to be alright. It's going to help because we need a lot of damage on Steelix if we're going to be getting stuff in range for Earthquakes from Aggron especially, and also from Gliscor, even despite being stabbed. So we're going to protect here, just get a little bit of lefties gain, because I need some life on Fable as best I can. Thankfully, due to Magic Guard, we're immune to rocks. So there is that. But now I don't have a great switch in to Steelix. We can go into Gliscor, who will, you know, be able to take Iron Head and Earthquake, of course, all day. Well, not all day, since we don't have any kind of recovery move, just Poison Heal. But I know it does get Ice Fang, and that will probably kill me, because we are not defensively invested, I believe. We got a little bit of HP. That's about it. So that is what we're going to go into with Shade Man. And Iron Head is going to hurt for probably more than you would expect a Gliscor to take from an Iron Head, so probably that's a trigger that something's up. And from that range, I'm pretty sure an Ice Fang will be able to kill. But, you know, I've seen, I think, 3 of his moves, right? We've seen Iron Head, EQ, and Rocks. So there's definitely a good possibility it is going to be Ice Fang, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and click a Earthquake here, because we need damage on this guy. We need damage on this guy for possibly an Aggron sweep, and it's looking very tough that it's looking very difficult for Gliscor to be able to set up both things. So unfortunately he does have Ice Fang, and that's still like just ever so slightly out of range for Aggron to knock it out with EQ. I could send in Aggron right here and kind of try to bluff it, but it's also not time for that because we still have Auto Weather going on, so even if we do set up a Rock Polish, it's not going to matter. So here, if we didn't have that to contend with, then I could potentially like go do something dumb, like go into Fable here, set up Moonblast it, and get it down a little bit more to where Aggron could KO it, but and I guess even if he stayed in and went for a hit, I'd still be able to get the Rock Polish up. So the idea is there, but because of the Auto Weather not being gone yet, then we can't do that. So we're going to go into Wave instead. and unfortunately he took quite a bit from that Focus Blast. So I think we're going to just fire off EQ, which won't kill, but should do some decent damage. Torn T could come in. It is burned if he wants to be a superpower variant, so we might or might not live that, depending. Avalanche doesn't really make any sense, nor does Aqua Jet really. So I think we're just going to EQ. Steel Wing also doesn't make much sense. So we're just going to EQ and see what happens. And currently it's 6-4, so that's not great. And taking sweet time thinking about it, but we're just going to click EQ. So Politoed comes in, so we are going to be able to knock that out, but he does get a Drizzle activation. So we know it's a Damp Rock, so it's going to be here for quite a bit of turns. We do have Cofagrigus with Protect, and then this thing comes in, and depending on what kind of thing it is, we could be okay or we could not be okay. As we do resist the stab, we are a V, so if it's just like Hydro Pump, I feel like we... I don't know if we were or not. We're just going to EQ here because it's the best thing we have to hit it, and Dragon Dances. So that means it's physical, that means that Clefable is not going to be able to take its hits very well at all, and will seem to kind of potentially cap the game here as, yeah, being physical, which explains why I didn't want to switch it into Scald, or Will-O-Wisp from Weezing. Yeah, it's a possible play on that turn early in the game, as we've got full set of rain. That's like the switching Politoed in and getting the rain up and then immediately dying, you know, for maximum turns of rain. Waterfall, since we're not physically bulky at all, and it's DD and rain boosted, we're not going to be able to take that. And Fable, because of being fully split up, which he now knows, and also being Magic Guard instead of Unaware, is not going to be able to do much of anything here. So, about my only chance of living it is if we can protect back up to a decent amount of stuff. So, I still need to go into Greninja, as it's just going to get outsped and killed, and Aggron can't really do anything right this exact moment, so... It is going to be Fable, and the question is, I know I'm going to Fable, the question is, like, what are we going to end up trying to click? So, we click Protect here, and that seems to be the operative thing, because if he's got max attack, then he should be able to kill from this range, so we can Protect, get a little bit of lefties gain, and I don't know what we can do from there, but we can see. So we're going to click Protect, and see what he wants to do about it, so... Think about it for a while and make sure that's the play we want to make. I don't think he would try to do anything else, get greedy going for another DD at that range. Moonblast should be able to knock it out, depending on how much bulk he has, of course. But he actually ends up to Protect, which I'm not entirely sure why, but wow, if we had a set of Wish that turn, that would have been so nice. But there's also no way I would have clicked Wish. So the interesting thing there, though, is that my Protect failed because it didn't happen first in the turn. That means that I can click Protect 100% on this turn, and I'm going to do so. So Protect failed because it failed that turn, as opposed to working normally and just, you know, blocking nothing. I get 100% Protect on this turn, and right here, the only actual avenue I have to potentially win the game. Well, I guess there's two ways. I end up going with the second way. Well, I guess the first way, which is that hoping that he might not be max attack, but he's close enough to max attack that it's going to kill. So. I could have attempted a double Protect right there. If I do, then I believe the rain turns will end on the turn as Greninja's going to go down here. I believe the rain would have ended on this turn, which would have meant that we would have had no rain boost versus Aggron. And we're not going to have enough time to get this in. But anyway, he said that if the rain had ended there, he would have Dragon Danced, which I would have almost certainly Rock Polished rather. Which Dragon Dance would have beaten out. But if I had Head Smashed and knocked out the Kingdra, I think as he Dragon Danced, I think everything else would not have been able to one-shot Aggron. We could have set up a Rock Polish and potentially swept from there. But that's just me trying to dig really deep and see if there was any possible way we could salvage this. First off, that's contingent upon hitting a double Protect, which we now know is 33%. Second off, I feel like there's no way I would have clicked Head Smash right there. I would have Rock Polished. So that's just that, and we'll go into the post game now, as it's going to be a 5-0. Alright, well, not too much else beyond that to say about this one. Didn't really think it was a great matchup, and turns out it wasn't. Kind of wish I had Whimsicott back on the team as well as Blissey and Zapdos, but, you know, we'll see if we can get that fixed for next season. Although there will be considerably amount of new guys coming in too, so I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, so looking ahead, spoiler for the Tough vs. Fizz game, so if you haven't seen that one yet, go ahead and close this video because we're not going to be talking about too much else interesting stuff. Tough lost, which will move him to 5-5 as well as us being 5-5, and we have just not been able to get the big differential wins or even some of the low differential losses. So our differential is last. I think we might actually be. I don't know. The differential is pretty bad. It's like -9. So as far as competing for wildcard spots, that's not looking very likely. But I don't know the results of Geo and Mogwai's game because they haven't played yet. It's Sunday. At least we're not having forfeits towards the end of the season like we did in seasons past, so that's good. At least I think games are getting played. They're just getting played late. But whatever. Better than not getting played at all. But anyway, assuming Geo wins, we will have a 3-way tie at 5-5 for the top of the division, Silver Division. And if Geo does win, then there's like chance we might split the wildcard slots. Otherwise, it seems reasonably likely that Fizz and Mogwai, which I believe Mogwai these last 2 weeks plays Fizz and Chimp, so not easy games by any means. But I feel like Fizz probably has a wildcard spot. Chimp almost certainly, barring some stupid like loses twice 6-0 and somebody else wins twice 6-0, has the gold division clinched. But nobody has clinched the silver division yet. It's still wide open. And basically, as far as I'm concerned, playoffs start this week. Because if we win out, our next 2 games are the 2 people we're tied with, Tup and Geo. So if we beat both of them, that obviously gives them another loss, and it gives us 2 wins. And even though our differential is worse, that means we would get in on wins and losses. So pretty much that's what it boils down to, is a playoff week. Basically starts this next week, as we lost our first 2 games against Geo and Tup, or our first game against each of them. So yeah, if we beat both of them, then we're in the playoffs, and if we lose any more games from here on out, I think we are probably eliminated. There might be some crazy thing with wildcard, but I'm not going to bother thinking about it right now, mostly because I don't know the results of Geo versus Mogwai, which is going to go a long way in saying that. So our best chance to get in is definitely by winning the division, and that is at least something we can control. You know, it's 2 weeks left in the regular season, and we have our destiny in our hands. You know, we do control our path to the playoffs. If we win the next 2 games, we're in. If we drop another one, we're probably not, and that's pretty much, you know, that's fair. That's all you can really ask for. So, seems like this season and season 4, the division I'm in is like gonna end up producing probably either a like 6-6, a 500 champion, or like maybe 1 game over 500. That seems to be the way it might end up being. But we're gonna be shooting for trying to end the season at 7-5. Definitely want to win at least one of these last 2 games to have a remote chance. But yeah, starts next week against Geo, who changed up his team a little bit. No longer has Manaphy. He's got Latias instead. I feel a little bit more comfortable against that, since I don't really know why. I guess I don't have a Blissey, but I don't know. Whatever. We'll see what we can do about that. I feel like there was at least one other major change that got made too. I have it written down somewhere. I just don't have it written down right in front of me. So that's that. We got to beat Geo next week. Got to beat Tup week after that. If we do that, we're in the playoffs. If not, then 2 more games and I don't have to play Oras anymore, so that's cool. So one way or another, hopefully we'll be back on mic again for next week. If not, you might hear Makar and Cayman, which they did a humdinger of a job on season 2 week 2 against Scubs. It'll probably be some commentary similar to that. For someone, I forget who it was, suggested having somebody commentate if I can't commentate, so if I have internet to send the video to them, that might be what you see. They did a great job on that video, so we might see that again. We might not. We might have narrations. We might, hopefully, we'll just have regular narration and whatnot. So, anyway, see you guys later. I'm going to go play some more Legend of Dark Witch, and later days.